Nobody expected this. Not like this. The courtroom was already heavy with tension, the kind of silence that makes every breath feel loud. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but word travels fast, especially when it involves a name like Pooh Shiesty. And what people started hearing, it hit like a shockwave, because this time, it wasn't just about the case, it was about family. According to what's been circulating online, Pooh Shiesty's own father reportedly stood up in court and said things that have now set the internet on fire. Some are calling it cooperation, others are straight up calling it betrayal, and just like that, the narrative flipped overnight. Fans are shocked, social media is going crazy, people are asking one question over and over again: how does it even get to this point? You've got supporters saying, there's no way a father would turn on his son unless something deeper is going on. Then you've got others saying, in situations like this, survival changes everything. And right in the middle of all that noise, emotions ran high, because this isn't just another headline, this feels personal. Unconfirmed reports suggest that what was said in that courtroom may have changed the direction of everything, but at the same time, nothing is confirmed, and that's where things get even more complicated, because in today's world, one rumor can turn into a full-blown story within hours. So now, the streets are talking, the fans are debating, and the pressure is building, because if even half of what's being said is true, then this situation just got way deeper than anyone expected. And trust me, this is only the beginning. To really understand why this situation has people reacting the way they are, you have to look at the journey of Pooh Shiesty and how quickly everything around him shifted. Not too long ago, he was one of the fastest rising names in hip-hop, building a strong fan base with a raw sound that felt authentic and street-rooted. Songs were blowing up, collaborations were getting attention, and it seemed like he was on a clear path toward becoming a long-term force in the industry. But then, legal issues entered the picture, and everything changed almost overnight. The spotlight that once focused on music started turning toward court updates, and fans who once debated lyrics were now debating legal outcomes. That shift alone created tension, but what's happening now has taken things to another level entirely. According to what's been circulating online, the latest wave of reaction started when reports surfaced involving his father and what allegedly happened inside the courtroom. Some people claimed that his father spoke in a way that could negatively impact his son's situation, while others are saying the entire narrative might be misunderstood or exaggerated. Since no verified full transcript has been widely confirmed in public discussions, a lot of what people are reacting to is based on clips, secondhand information, and interpretations. Still, that hasn't stopped the conversation from exploding. Fans are shocked, and emotions ran high as soon as the story began trending across platforms. The idea of family being involved in a legal situation like this hits differently. In hip-hop culture especially, loyalty is a major theme. Not just in music, but in real life too. So when social media started suggesting that a father might have said something that could be seen as turning on his own son, people immediately reacted. Some fans believe there must be more to the story, arguing that no parent would willingly harm their child's future unless there were serious circumstances behind the scenes. Others, however, are taking a more critical stance, saying that in high-pressure legal situations, people sometimes make decisions based on fear, survival, or advice from lawyers. And right there, you start to see the divide forming. Social media is going crazy with different opinions. One side is defending the father, suggesting that people are jumping to conclusions too quickly. They're pointing out that court proceedings are often complex, and statements can be taken out of context when shared in short clips. Another group is far less forgiving, with some users saying that even the possibility of cooperation crosses a line that can't be ignored. Then there are those who are simply confused, trying to figure out what's actually real and what's just rumor, because right now, nothing is confirmed in full detail, and that uncertainty is fueling even more speculation. What makes this situation even more intense is the emotional weight behind it. This isn't just a legal update, it's a story involving family, loyalty, and consequences. People aren't just watching it, they're feeling it. You can see it in the comments, where fans are expressing disappointment, frustration, and even sympathy all at once. Some are saying things like, "There has to be something we don't know," while others are more direct, calling the situation heartbreaking regardless of the truth. And in a world where perception spreads faster than facts, those emotional reactions are shaping the narrative in real time. At the same time, some people are urging caution. They're reminding others that unconfirmed reports can easily spiral out of control and damage reputations before the full story comes out. Legal cases are rarely simple, and what gets shared publicly is often only a small piece of a much bigger puzzle. Still, that hasn't slowed the conversation down. If anything, it's made people even more curious. Everyone is waiting for something concrete, some kind of clear statement or verified detail that can either confirm or shut down what's being said. Until that happens, the speculation continues to grow. Fans are watching closely, trying to read between the lines, while social media keeps pushing new angles and theories every hour. And through all of it, one thing is clear. This situation has moved beyond just being a legal case. It has become a deeply emotional story that people are invested in, whether they're supporting, questioning, or simply trying to understand what's really going on. As the conversation kept building, the situation started to take on a life of its own. What began as a few circulating claims quickly turned into a full-blown online storm, with every new post adding more fuel to the fire. Fans were no longer just reacting, they were analyzing, debating, and even picking sides. Social media is going crazy, and the narrative keeps shifting depending on who you ask. That some people think the situation is being blown out of proportion, while others believe this could be a major turning point in the entire case. And right in the middle of all this noise, emotions ran high as more theories started to surface. One of the biggest things driving the conversation is the lack of clear, confirmed information, because there's no full official breakdown of what was actually said in court being widely shared. People are relying on fragments, short clips, secondhand descriptions, and interpretations that may or may not reflect the full truth. Unconfirmed reports suggest that certain statements made during the hearing may have raised eyebrows, but without full context, it's hard to know exactly how those words were meant or how they were received inside the courtroom. Still, that hasn't stopped fans from forming strong opinions. Some fans believe there's a deeper strategy behind everything. They're suggesting that what's being interpreted as snitching might actually be part of a legal approach designed to minimize damage or shift focus in a complex case. In high-stakes situations, lawyers often guide what is said and how it is said, and sometimes that can be misunderstood by the public. People in this group are urging others to slow down and wait for verified details before jumping to conclusions. They're saying things like, "We don't know the full story yet," and courtroom situations are never as simple as they seem online. But on the other side, there's a louder, more emotional reaction building. Some users are not holding back, calling the situation shocking and even heartbreaking. They're looking at the situation from a personal perspective, focusing on the idea of family loyalty and what it means when that bond appears to be tested in such a public way. For them, even the possibility that a father could say something that might hurt his son's case is enough to spark outrage. People are divided, and you can see that divide clearly in comment sections where debates are getting intense. At the same time, influencers and hip-hop pages started picking up the story, amplifying it even further. Once those larger platforms got involved, the reach expanded fast. Headlines became more dramatic, captions became more suggestive, and suddenly the situation wasn't just being discussed. It was being framed in ways that made it feel even more explosive. Some pages leaned into the controversy, using strong language that made the situation seem more certain than it actually is. Others tried to stay neutral, reminding viewers that nothing is confirmed and that speculation can be misleading. Then came what many people are calling the first major twist. A few voices online started pushing back against the dominant narrative, claiming that the situation might not be what it seems at all. According to some interpretations, the statements made in court could have been taken out of context or even selectively shared in a way that changes their meaning. This introduced a new layer of uncertainty, making people question everything they thought they understood about the situation. Fans who were initially convinced one way began to reconsider, while others doubled down on their original opinions. What makes this twist so impactful is that it highlights how quickly perception can shift. In just a short amount of time, the story went from being seen as a clear case of betrayal by some to something much more complicated and unclear. And that uncertainty is what keeps people locked in. Everyone wants answers, but instead of clarity, they're getting more questions. What was actually said? What was the intent behind it? And how will it affect what happens next? Meanwhile, the emotional weight of the situation continues to grow. This isn't just about legal strategies or courtroom procedures anymore. It's about relationships, trust, and consequences. Fans are not just watching from a distance. They're emotionally invested. Some are expressing disappointment. Others are showing sympathy. all, and many are simply trying to make sense of a situation that feels increasingly complex. And as more voices join the conversation, the pressure keeps building. Right now, the story is still unfolding, and every new detail, confirmed or not, has the potential to change everything again. The only thing that's certain is that the conversation isn't slowing down anytime soon. If anything, it's getting louder, more intense, and more divided with every passing moment. As the noise reached its peak, the situation started to feel heavier, more emotional, and far more complicated than anyone first imagined. What once looked like a simple headline had now turned into a layered story filled with tension, unanswered questions, and growing pressure from every direction. Fans are shocked, and you can feel that shock turning into something deeper: confusion, frustration, and even disbelief. Because at this stage, it's no longer just about what may have been said in court, it's about what it represents. The idea of loyalty, especially within family, is now being questioned in real time, and people are struggling to process it. Supporters of Pooh Shiesty began speaking out more strongly, pushing back against the narrative that had taken over social media. Some fans believe that the situation is being unfairly framed, arguing that people are too quick to label something as betrayal without understanding the full legal context. They're pointing out that courtroom dynamics are often misunderstood by the public, and that statements made under legal pressure don't always reflect personal intentions. In their eyes, what's happening might not be as simple as it's being portrayed, and they're calling for patience while more verified information comes out. At the same time, another wave of reactions started building, and this one carried a much more emotional tone. People are divided, and that divide is becoming sharper with every passing hour. Some users are expressing disappointment in a very direct way, saying that regardless of legal strategy, certain lines should never be crossed. Others are taking a more sympathetic view, suggesting that the pressure of a courtroom environment can push people into impossible situations where every choice feels wrong. This clash of perspectives is what's keeping the conversation alive, with each side convinced they're seeing the situation clearly. Social media is going crazy, and the intensity of the discussion has only increased as more voices join in. Content creators, bloggers, and hip-hop commentators have all started weighing in, each adding their own interpretation of what might be happening behind the scenes. Some are focusing on the legal angle, breaking down how cases like this usually unfold and why certain statements might be made. Others are leaning into the emotional side, highlighting how painful it is to even imagine a situation where family members appear to be on opposite sides. And then there are those who are simply watching, trying to separate fact from speculation in a space where the two are constantly blending together. Unconfirmed reports suggest that there may be more details that haven't fully surfaced yet, and that possibility is adding another layer of suspense. But some people think there could be context missing that would completely change how everything is being perceived. Others believe that what has already been shared is enough to draw conclusions. But once again, nothing is confirmed, and that uncertainty is what makes the situation feel so unstable. Every new rumor has the potential to shift opinions, and every new interpretation adds another piece to a puzzle that still isn't complete. What's also becoming clear is how much this situation is affecting the way fans view everything surrounding it. The music, the image, the story. All of it is now being looked at through a different lens. Some supporters are standing firmly behind Pooh Shiesty, choosing to focus on his journey and what he represents rather than the current controversy. But others are finding it harder to separate the situation from their perception of everything else. And in moments like this, you start to see how quickly public opinion can evolve when emotions are involved. Behind the scenes, many are wondering how this is impacting those directly involved. While the public debates continue, there's a real human element to all of this that often gets lost in the noise. Families, relationships, and personal struggles don't unfold in simple headlines, yet that's exactly how they're being consumed. Some fans are acknowledging that reality, reminding others that no matter what the truth turns out to be, this is a deeply personal situation playing out in a very public way. As the tension continues to build, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. This story is far from over. If anything, it feels like it's reaching a critical point where something significant is about to happen. Whether that comes in the form of new information, official clarification, or a completely unexpected twist, nobody really knows. But the anticipation is there, and it's growing stronger by the minute. minute, because right now the only certainty is that the situation is still unfolding, and whatever comes next could change everything once again. As the situation pushed toward what felt like a breaking point, the atmosphere around it became even more intense. Every new update, no matter how small, was being watched closely, analyzed instantly, and debated across every platform. Fans are shocked, but now that shock is mixed with anticipation, like everyone is waiting for that one moment that finally brings clarity. And yet, instead of clear answers, what people are getting is something far more complicated. A mix of partial details, conflicting interpretations, and growing uncertainty that refuses to settle. At the center of it all remains Pooh Shiesty, whose situation now feels heavier than ever. The conversation is no longer just about what may have happened in the courtroom, but about the long-term impact of everything being said and assumed. Some fans believe this moment could shape how his story is remembered moving forward, while others are holding on to the idea that things might not be what they seem once the full truth comes out. And that tension between belief and doubt is what's keeping everyone locked in. Unconfirmed reports suggest that there may have been more exchanges during the court proceedings that haven't been fully revealed to the public. Some people think those missing pieces could completely change the narrative, possibly showing that the situation has been misunderstood from the start. Others, however, believe that even without full details, the reactions are justified based on what has already been shared. This split in perspective continues to grow, and it's creating an environment where every new theory gains traction, whether it's accurate or not. Social media is going crazy, and at this point, it feels like two completely different stories are being told at the same time. On one side, there are voices insisting that this is a clear case of loyalty being tested in the worst possible way. On the other side, there are people pushing back, saying that the legal system operates differently than what most people understand. And that what looks one way on the surface might have a very different explanation underneath. People are divided, and neither side seems willing to back down. Then came what many are calling the most critical turning point so far, not because of a confirmed fact, but because of a shift in how people are interpreting everything. A growing number of voices started questioning whether the entire situation had been shaped by how information was presented online. Some believe that certain clips or statements may have been shared without full context, creating a narrative that feels more dramatic than it actually is. This idea has started to gain attention, causing some fans to pause and reconsider their initial reactions. At the same time, others are doubling down, arguing that context or not, certain actions carry weight no matter how they're explained. This is where the emotional tension reaches its peak, because now it's not just about facts, it's about principles, perspectives, and personal beliefs. What one person sees as understandable, another sees as unacceptable. And in a situation like this, those differences become impossible to ignore. What makes everything even more intense is the silence from official sources. Without a clear, detailed statement to confirm or deny what's being said, the speculation continues to grow. People are filling in the gaps with their own interpretations, and that's creating a cycle where the story keeps evolving without ever fully settling. Fans are refreshing pages, watching for updates, and waiting for anything that can bring clarity to a situation that feels increasingly uncertain. Through all of this, one thing stands out more than anything else. The emotional weight hasn't gone away. If anything, it has only grown stronger. This isn't just a trending topic anymore. It's a story that people are personally invested in, whether they're supporting, questioning, or simply trying to understand. And as the tension continues to build, the feeling that something bigger is still coming becomes harder to ignore. Right now, everything feels like it's hanging in the balance. There are questions that haven't been answered, details that haven't been confirmed, and a narrative that is still shifting in real time. And until something definitive comes out, the conversation will continue, the debates will keep going, and the uncertainty will remain. Because in moments like this, where so much is unclear, the only thing people can do is watch, wait, and wonder what the truth really is. At this point, the situation is still unfolding, and there are more questions than answers. Fans are shocked, emotions are running high, and social media is going crazy trying to figure out what's real and what's just speculation. Some people believe this was a misunderstanding blown out of proportion, while others think something deeper is going on behind the scenes. But the truth is, nothing is fully confirmed, and until we hear something official, everything remains up in the air. One thing is clear though, this isn't just another story. This is something that has people emotionally invested, divided, and constantly watching for the next update. And with so many different perspectives out there, it's hard to know what to believe anymore. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think really happened? Do you think the situation is being misunderstood? Or is there more to it than we're being told? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. And if you've been following this story and want more updates like this, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Because trust me, this story might not be over yet.